Go.
Hi, my name is Robert Leyland. This is my communication class speech. I can show the audience. Alright. There's alien life on one of the moons in our solar system. It's just been discovered, is what you might hear in the news very shortly. There's actually a lot of discoveries being made in that area right now. I'm going to talk about some of the places where life could possibly exist in our solar system and out in the universe. The first place I'm going to talk about is one of Saturn's moons called Enceladus. Some facts that I have from NASA. The surface temperature of the moon is about -200 degrees Fahrenheit. If you were to take all the surface area, it would be about the size of Texas, so it's very small. It's kind of like a big chunk of ice. The cool thing about Enceladus is, as you can see in this picture, it's got some geysers on the South Pole, and they spew out ice and liquid water. It's believed that below the outer ice shell there's actually liquid water there that could support life. We actually had one of our space probes fly through that plume coming out, and they did some studies, and they did find that it was able to support life. The next picture here just kind of shows the surface of this moon. There is a lot of geological activity, which means that there's things happening below the surface. Future missions may go up and study this planet further, possibly go underneath the ice to determine if there's life there. The next moon I'm going to talk about is another one of Saturn's moons. It's actually the biggest moon in Saturn. It's about the size somewhere between the Earth and the moon. It's very interesting that it's very cold as well because it's so far from the sun. It's about -300 degrees Fahrenheit on the surface, so very cold. And it's actually covered in a foggy haze, so you can't really see the surface if you're looking out from space. This picture just does show a little bit of detail, but typically you can't see anything through that fog. It's just a big haze. And it's called Titan. It actually has rivers, rain. It has a nitrogen atmosphere just like the Earth does. But they have rivers and lakes. It's not water, of course, because it's so cold. It's actually liquid methane, which is pretty interesting. And they believe, NASA believes that methane-based life forms could possibly live there. Another recent discovery is that underneath the surface, they believe that there's a huge underground ocean, which may also, again, support life. The third moon I'm going to talk about is actually one of Jupiter's moons, called Europa. And one other thing here to mention with Titan is back in 2006, the European Space Agency actually parachuted a little, kind of like a little robot drone down onto the surface of Titan. And this is actually one of the pictures of the surface that it took. So this is actually what the surface of that moon looks like, which is pretty cool. It lasted for about 7-8 minutes before it stopped transmitting. And going back to Europa, this is a picture of Europa. Again, it's a big chunk of ice. The brown spots that you're seeing is minerals and deposits coming up from the ocean, saltwater ocean, beneath the ice surface. The volume of water underneath the ice is about twice the volume of all the water on the Earth. So a lot of potential for life to exist there as well. It's kept warm from the magnetic pull from Jupiter. Jupiter has such a strong magnetic pull that it pulls on the surface of it and expands and contracts and constantly cracks the surface of this moon. And it also causes internal heating, which allows that liquid ocean to survive. They also think there might be volcanic vents there similar to Earth, where life forms could exist down on those volcanic vents too. Going on to, so that's just kind of the possibilities within our own solar system. Now let's talk about some possibilities outside our solar system. One of them is it's called Gliese 667. It's actually a star about 22 light years away, or 129 trillion miles away. There's what they found there is that there's actually 3 planets in order around the sun there that are very much like our Earth. They're not too close to the sun where they're too hot, and they're not too far away where they're too cold. They're actually right in the band where liquid water can exist. So it's very possible that they might be very much like our Earth. There are some satellites that NASA is going to launch that could possibly discover more planets like this. Most of these discoveries have been from the Kepler telescope since it was launched in 2009. Since then, they've discovered over 3,000 other planets in our solar system, which is pretty phenomenal in the course of only 4 years. The last thing I'm going to show you here is just kind of an artist. Matthew Johnson is the artist who created this. That solar system actually has 3 suns. There's one that orbits around and 2 that are off in the distance. So if you're on one of these planets, this is kind of the view you would have. So it's kind of unique. So in conclusion, there's hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy, and there's over 100 billion galaxies. So it's it's certain that there is life out there. It's just a matter of where are we going to find it, and how are we going to find it, and what we're going to find. And I think it could turn out to be one of the most profound discoveries in human history to find life other than ourselves in the universe. That's all I've got. Pan around.
Very good.
Excellent.
Good job.
I'm glad we picked aliens.